Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you well from wherever you're watching this channel. Now, CS MBADI presented his budget 2025-2026, a budget that many people said members of parliament boycotted. I mean, I will agree with people who are saying that members of parliament boycotted because of these pictures. Now, they say that pictures don't lie. Now, if you look at that picture, look at the seating arrangement, you find that there are so many empty seats. So, there are two reasons, or rather three reasons, why I think members of parliament could have decided to intentionally boycott that session. I want us to focus on the main reason for this budget walkout. I call it budget walkout because if it's a very important session, why did the MPs not show up? So I think, and I believe you're going to answer below in the comment section why you think there was that kind of budget walkout. I call it broad-based budget walkout.
By this House and its leadership during my tenure. My sincere appreciation goes first to you, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly.
Now, could it be because there was GENZ's protests on the streets? Because for those of you who are glued on your screens, you must have witnessed situations in Nairobi CBD where there were so many demonstrations in almost all roads, ladies and gentlemen. Could it be that the members of parliament felt there was going to be nothing new in that budget? In fact, that budget was not even going to make them happy. Salary. Or could it be that the members of parliament are not happy with the status quo? I suspect members of parliament are afraid, especially after what happened last year and what is taking place now, this issue of Albert Ojwang. So in this analysis, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to focus more on what really happened during the broad-based budget reading by CS MBADI. But before we explore this story further, ladies and gentlemen, kindly like this video to enable you to share it to many people. Subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed before, and to our existing subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Looking at what really transpired there, and many have termed CS MBADI's budget as one that is mwananchi friendly. I mean, for those of you who went through the whole session of the budget reading, do you think it was mwananchi friendly? Of course, MBADI is talking about not increasing taxations on basic commodities. In fact, he was talking about retaining the status quo in issues of taxation, but enforcing policies to make sure that so many people come on board and pay taxes, and also making sure that they focus more on production. That was some of the points that CS MBADI highlighted. But let us focus on why we think there was this kind of budget walkout. MBADI, being one of the CS who came on board in Kenya Kwanza government after the GENZ revolution that saw all cabinet secretaries fired first. So he came on board after some broad-based arrangement between him and between Ruto and Raila Amolo Odinga, and the four officials from ODM who were picked by Ruto, and they joined the government. So MBADI's expectation maybe was that members of parliament would show up in numbers, but outside the parliament, demonstrations zilikuwa zimepita kipimo. So one could easily say that maybe the members of parliament did not show up because they feared for their life. If they remember what happened last year, they maybe thought that maybe with the kind of rage that is with the kind of rage now, whereby people are still mourning the death of Albert Ojwang, who was mysteriously murdered in a police station, allegedly. Maybe the kind of ile machungu watu wako nayo, they might even use that to invade the parliament. So we can as well say that maybe the members of parliament were afraid. Again, second point to why there was this kind of walkout, or rather boycott, could be because, you know, members of parliament are always fond of FT pays imeongezeka, pesa imeongezeka, ama mshahara imeongezeka. The only time they come together, ladies and gentlemen, and they've been maintaining it, is when pesa zinawafaidi wao. Like for instance, this issue of NGCDF. Kama ingekuwa ni issue ya NGCDF and people are voting, wabunge wote wangekuja. In fact, hata yule ambaye ni mgonjwa angeomba nafasi sa hiyo aende bunge pale akaparticipate. That is what would have happened, ladies and gentlemen. So maybe the fact that there is nothing new in that budget ambayo itawa please, that could be the reason why they decided to walk out. Let's look at the third point. What if they were unhappy about the status quo? Ruto's government, the status quo. You see, wanaona kwamba this government is just full of stories, you know, the status quo. Because of course, Kenyans have already shown their displeasure with the budget. Hata finance bill hajasomwa, lakini they have already shown their displeasure with this budget. So because they have already shown their displeasure with the budget, the members of parliament don't want to be seen as if they are part and parcel of this budget. Ni kama hawaitaki, they are trying to do politics. Mimi naona kwamba to some level wanaangalia kwamba the kind of mentality that people have right now ni kwamba if they are seen in this parliament na wapigie makofi hii report ya CS MBADI, wataonekana kwamba wao wako part and parcel ya hii budget. So what they can do is just to walk out. So, but this is not the first budget that has been presented in Kenya. There have been so many budgets. Like for instance, if I may walk you through the budgets that were read from 2013. You know, 2013, that is the time now the new constitution started operation. The new constitution that discontinued assistant ministers and introduced cabinet secretaries as opposed to ministers. So the first minister who came under this new constitution, Minister for Treasury, was Henry Rotich. We all remember Henry Rotich from 23rd April 2013 to somewhere there January 2020. I think that is where he was implicated in some, you know, graft cases. Now was forced to, I think he was fired. Then the second is CS Ekuri Atani, also served under Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's time, but then he came on board after Rotich alitoka. Then he came on board akaenda mpaka 2022 pale Uhuru alitoka kwa office. Then Ruto came on board and picked Professor Njuguna Ndung'u. Now Njuguna Ndung'u also served between 2022 and 2024. So again, Njuguna Ndung'u was removed during the GENZ revolution after Finance Bill 2024-2025 failed to please Kenyans, and Ruto was forced to disband his cabinet. There are people who came back like Murkomen na wengine Duale walirudi, you know, but there are those who wale ambao mawimbi yaliwafukuza kabisa na walienda, na one of them is Professor Njuguna Ndung'u. Njuguna Ndung'u naye hajawahi kurudi tena. Now, MBADI took over from Njuguna Ndung'u after that failed finance bill. Now, MBADI, after taking over from Njuguna Ndung'u, he had to, of course, work on a budget. And that's what he presented yesterday, his first budget. So the expectation maybe was that people would show up in numbers, ndio support. But you see, members of parliament stayed away. They boycotted that event for reasons we are not aware about, but we suspect that it could be because of GENZ's protest, or there is nothing new in the budget, or they are unhappy with the status quo in Ruto's regime. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think would be the reason why MBADI's budget session was met with low numbers in terms of the MP attendance? The members of parliament who attended that session waliko kidogo, handful, and that is explained in the picture, ladies and gentlemen. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Till we catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.